Chapter 20. 1 year later, August 1968. 1968. "Here we are," Dad said as he turned down the dirt road that led to the cabin. The car had barely stopped before Kevin flung open the door and rushed down to the beach. "Wait for me," Pops called out, limping after him. Mel stepped out of the car and took a deep breath. Dad came around and put his arms across her shoulders. "Good to be back here." And it was. It looked the same as it always had. There was their snug cabin with the big front porch. There were the pine trees, and there was Lake McDonald, the bright blue water shimmering in the late afternoon sun. Everything looked the same. But things had changed here at Glacier. They'd been hearing all about it from Steve, and they'd read Cassie's new big story in National Geographic, how one tragic night in August would transform the park forever. The deaths of those two girls had transformed Glacier and other national parks in America. Campgrounds had been cleaned up. Granite Park Chalet had a huge new incinerator for trash. The manager, Greg, was gone. There were more rangers to patrol the trails and to follow up on reports of problem bears. Park visitors received a long list of rules for camping and hiking: to never leave trash or food behind in the campgrounds, to never feed the wildlife, to show respect. Some campers and hikers were following the rules. Some weren't. Mel knew that it would probably take years for some people to understand what it really meant to show respect for the wilderness. But at least now she felt some hope. After a simple dinner of hot dogs and beans, all four of them headed down to the beach. While Pops and Kevin built a campfire, Mel and Dad walked to the water's edge. They stood shoulder to shoulder and looked out on the lake. "Your mother loved it here so much," he said. "I know," Mel said. "Remember how she used to dare us to jump into the lake?" "And how she made us climb to the top of the fire tower," Dad said. "And the time she caught 4 trout in one afternoon," Mel said. And then bragged about it all summer long. They laughed. They talked about Mom all the time now, and when Mel felt the heart-cracking sadness coming over her, she didn't sit alone in her room. She found Dad, or Pops, or called one of her friends. "Mel!" Kevin screeched. "Daddy! We're roasting marshmallows!" "Okay, Kev," Mel shouted back. "He's even bossier than Mom," Dad said, shaking his head and smiling. "If that's possible." With the fire roaring, Pops started up his stories. Kevin snuggled on his lap, clutching his new favorite toy. Only Aunt Cassie would know where to find a stuffed porcupine. Mel looked around at her family. Her eyes started to water. She missed Mom so much. And she knew how happy Mom would be that they were here. Mel didn't try to stop her tears. Steve had been right. It was no good trying to hold things in. Running from sadness was like running from a grizzly bear. It would chase you, and it would catch you. Mel was done running away.